welcome to today's show cause video. My name's Bingham. I'm a student rights officer here at RUSU, and I hope to take you through show cause and how that works. It's a relatively short video, so we hope to get a lot of information into a short space of time. You can also refer to the info pack that we have online on the RUSU website, where you can always reach out to a student liaison officer for more information around that. But essentially, we're just going to go through how to put together your show cause letter so that you can do that, and then hopefully you can get it to through to RUSU for a student rights officer to review before you submit. You don't have a lot of time. You normally have around, well, you do have 10 working days from the time that you're requested to show cause to submit, so it's good to get onto it as soon as possible. So essentially, show cause is when you meet the definition of second stage at risk with an RMIT. So you would have gone through what's called first stage at risk, so that's where you have failed either 50% or more of your study load for a given semester or the same course twice. At that time, you should have received an academic performance improvement plan or been invited to an academic performance improvement plan meeting with the school to talk about what's going on and hopefully put a plan in place. If that hasn't worked, or you failed another semester of more than 50% of your courses, or you failed the same course twice again, then you'll be placed at what's called second stage at risk. So that's where you find yourself now, and that's when you're asked to show cause. You need to write a show cause letter and also attach evidence to that to show what has been going on, why have you not been at the academic standard that you would be expected to be at when you're accepted into the program, what's happened, and then what is your plan to get back on track. So that's sort of it in a nutshell. But in terms of the letter, you do want the letter's broken down into three main parts. So essentially, the letter covers an outline of what were the difficult circumstances that you experienced over the semesters you failed courses. So you do need to address all of the semesters where you have failed your courses, including the first time you were placed at risk. How those circumstances directly impacted or got in the way of you being able to study successfully. And then you need to go over what has improved, how are things different now, what changes have you put in place so that you can study successfully moving forward. Okay, so in regards to point one, a bit around what were the difficult circumstances, what went wrong. So you might, it can be a myriad of issues. So a lot of different issues obviously can impact students during the time they study. You're often here at university for a long time, and life still happens. So it could be something like you were caring for somebody close to you who is sick, were you working too many hours at work, were you experiencing financial difficulties, did you have an illness yourself, have you had mental health issues. Obviously we've come out of COVID recently, so we've had 2 years of lockdowns on and off, which has impacted almost everyone in Victoria and the world. So has that had an impact on you? How did it impact you? So you can go over a broad sort of explanation of what's happened, and then you need to link it into how did it actually affect your study? How did, if you're experiencing depression and anxiety, for example, or your mental health was impacted, how did that actually impact your studies? So if you can give examples of where you were unable to attend various assessments or courses, or you were unable to attend lectures, etc., or if your sleep was impacted, or if you were working too much, how did that impact your studies directly, so you may have missed classes or you just weren't able to put your time into the different assessments, if you're caring for someone. So you can link it in as much as possible, and give them paint a real strong, clear picture of the circumstances that impacted you and how they impacted your studies. Okay. So moving on from that, you then want to move into the next stage, which is what's improved, or what is going to improve, or what changes have been made, what have been put in place to help you study successfully. So if you were working too many hours at work, have those hours now been reduced? Have you contacted your employer? If you were having financial difficulties, or if you have been, will they be addressed in the future, or have you started to address them? Have you gone to see a financial counsellor? Have you sought financial support? Is there family members that are now aware of the situation, or if things improved? Maybe you weren't working during COVID and now you do have a part-time job. You can talk about that. If your depression or anxiety has been, or mental health has been impacted, have you sought the help of a counsellor? Have you engaged with a medical practitioner, professional supports? Yes, so really giving an overview in terms of how you've addressed the issues, and also painting a picture as well of what's the plan moving forward. So another really good explanation to do is to talk about a study plan too. So we'll get into that a little bit now, in terms of the evidence to go with your letter. So once you've provided those 3 main points within your letter and written your draft letter, okay, where you're covering what happened, how was your study impacted, how are things going to be different, what changes have you made, what's been put in place, then you need to evidence that. So everything you say in the letter needs to be evidenced, or else it risks not being accepted, because the school wants to see more than just a nicely written letter. They do want to see some evidence of what's occurred. Okay, so you do need to show, where possible, if it's been a medical issue, either health, mental health, medical reports, evidence from the time of impact. So if you did go see a doctor, if you have been seeing a counsellor, or if you did apply for special consideration and obtain impact assessment statements, those can be included as well. Okay, non-medical evidence from the time can include things like police reports, if there's been, a crime, if you're a victim of a crime, death certificates as well, if there's a close family member or friend has passed away, evidence of excessive work hours. So if you're talking about work hours, so if you can show pay slips, or even a letter from an employer. So showing the impact at the time, if you can, is really good and really strong evidence. Okay, and we do have in our info pack, we've got a long list of potential documents that you can use, that you can consider thinking about obtaining as evidence, so that can definitely help. And then also evidence as well of what's changing in terms of moving forward. So if you have cut your hours at work, if you have reduced your hours, and you could show new pay slips, or even an emails exchange between you and your boss around, that you're now going to be doing less hours at work, or you could obtain a letter from your counsellor or GP or medical practitioner or specialists outlining the plan for you moving forward, how you're going to be supported. Statutory declarations can also be included as well. So that's where a written statement's made by someone as well. It can sometimes be made by close family members, where they write a statement supporting what you're saying, particularly where it's really difficult to obtain some of the documents. So that's, and then in addition to that, we always do say include a study timetable. So you can mention a study timetable in your letter, but you've done that up. But you can include a clear study timetable for your week, what you're planning to do for your given week in study. Make it as realistic as possible, so that can include where where you will be studying, where you will be attending lectures, where you will be reviewing and doing assignments, and also when you're going to be having your downtime, your leisure time, meals, engaging in those social supports and any other type of supports you may have mentioned in your letter. So make it as realistic as possible. And we also have study timetable examples that you can use on the RUSU Student Rights website. So so that is basically the show cause letter in a nutshell. Don't always remember, just do your best with it. Sometimes students can get quite stressed out and delayed in putting together their letter because they feel like they have to put together the perfect letter. Often, I say just get down what you can on paper, use the guide, write it out, do your best, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And then hopefully a student rights officer can review it, make suggestions, suggested changes, things like that. So then we can get it back to you. You can make those changes, and then you can get it off within the 10 working days along with your evidence. So thank you so much for joining us today, and wishing you all the best with your show cause preparation. Take care.